Hello and welcome back. This is an episode of Making Stuff with Evan, a show where I make stuff and you can join me if you want. So we're going to remake let's see, it's just the handle part of the battle rifle from Halo 5. So I don't really know what to call that. It's just the part where the person's hand goes on the weapon. Obviously I'm not much of a gun person, but we're going to make this, so I'm just going to start over from scratch. And I think I will save this first. Halo 5. Alright, so starting from scratch. I'll make sure I turn on screencast keys so you guys can see what I'm doing in the bottom left. And I'm going to go into background images and load up the image that I found online. You can find this by literally just searching Halo 5 Battle Rifle, and then hit 3 and 5 to go into right orthographic. Alright, so I'm going to first merge this into a point at the center. So I've just got a single vertex. And as I model this in 2 dimensions, I'm going to try to make sure that I have an even number of vertices on each side of this handle. And essentially what that's going to do is allow me to create edge loops very easily later. So you can see if I have an odd number of vertices, there's now one more on the right side. When I try to hit Control R and create a wing loop, it's not going to let me. So that would be a... well, we just want to make sure we can always create edge loops, especially for things that are slightly rounded. And let me know what you guys think about the music. I don't really care what I'm listening to. I just, when I'm talking for too long, I feel like I'm too boring, so I wanted to have something on in the background. If you want to pick the music, let me know. That's fine with me. And we're still working in 2 dimensions, so we have a lot of flexibility with this, but we do want to keep in mind that this will eventually exist in 3 dimensions. So we're going to want to do certain things to make this easy for ourselves later. Whoops. Alright, now I'm going to take all 4 of these vertices and extrude them down 1 time. And repeat the process here. Alright, so we got the basic shape blocked out. Now why don't we give it some depth? So I'm going to hit A to select everything and E to extrude. And we don't have to go far, we're going to extrude it 1 more time later. I'm going to hit Control Tab to go into face selection mode. And then I'm going to deselect the parts that shouldn't be raised. So like that's... Deselect. There we go. Deselect. So now pretty much everything else should be higher, so we're going to extrude 1 more time. And then I'm going to duplicate this face and then scale it up on the Z-axis. E to extrude, Control R, Control R, Control R, whoops. And then in wireframe view I can start moving these around. Now keep in mind we do have depth at this point, so if I right click on this point directly from the side, I only get one of these 2 vertices. So I'm always going to use the poly select or the box select to make sure that I have both vertices selected.
me when
And I'm going to bring this up further than I need to, because later we're going to subdivide this, and so it's just easier if the top is not interfering with this down here. So the next thing I want to do is add a mirror and a subdivision surface. So mirror first, then subdivide. Now you'll notice there's this weird crease. That's not what we want it to look like. So the reason for that is actually because it's trying to accommodate this face right here, this face, and this face. So there's one on the inside, and so you imagine it, if you're trying to smooth out these three faces, it's going to have to kind of wrap inside like that. So if we disable the mirror modifier and then paint and select all these faces, C, paint, we got one extra there. And then I'm going to hit X and delete faces. And I'm just trying to make sure I didn't get any extra faces. Yeah, that looks fine. So then I'm going to re-enable the subdivision and the mirror, and now you can see there's no weird crease. Alright, this is coming along pretty well. So the next thing I'm going to do is just start cleaning up this area. And for that, I'm going to hit Control R and create some holding edges. And I want to grab this whole piece, so I'm going to select one of these edges and then Control L. Now I'm going to enable camera clipping, and essentially what that does is it locks in the vertices in the middle so that they stick together. And I'm just going to shrink this in like that. It's not bad, not bad. I think that we're probably going to want to fix this part. It's looking very flat on the front and not rounded enough here. So I think I'm going to create some more edge loops, like so. And then just try to line up these vertices. This will be easier without the subdivision surface. And then Alt right click and bring this whole piece in. And this one right here isn't actually really doing anything. So I'm going to hit X and dissolve edges. And before I do that, I just want to make sure, initially we used it to create this piece, but I think now it's just redundant. So I'm going to delete I'm going to try to dissolve the edges. And that worked out perfect. So that's now gone. And that actually allows this to round out a little bit more evenly. Yeah, that's looking much better. Now, if we wanted to, you can see after the subdivision, this doesn't line up very well. So if we wanted to, we could create a holding edge there. But I'm not totally sure if that's necessary. So that's, I mean, yeah, I guess it does look a lot better with that extra holding edge. So why don't we keep that in? What else? We could kind of clean it up here. And that was pretty easy. Alright, I think that looks pretty fantastic. I will bring this in a tiny bit more. So I'm going to grab all of these faces and just move like that. And while we're here, we should also make the trigger. So I'm just going to duplicate this face, move it back, and then extrude it forward. And I'm going to hide both the guard and the weapon itself. So I'm grabbing two vertices, one on each, Control L and H. And that'll give us some more freedom to modify this. I'm just going to take one face and duplicate it. And leave it like that. Control L and delete everything else. All the vertices. So now we're back to working in 2 dimensions, and we can really line this up however we want. So I think I'll start with something like that. Control R, create a ring loop. Alright, so we've got the 2-dimensional shape. And if we turn on clipping, we can just push this into the middle and it'll lock in place, and then we can extrude it forward slightly. We need to make sure we disable clipping when we extrude it though. And then I'm just going to take all of these vertices and move them out slightly, like so. And then back in edit mode, I'm going to hit Alt-H to unhide everything. For some reason, oh, that's why. So we actually have the same problem as before with the crease in the middle. So we only want the faces on one side of the trigger. So if I go back into object mode, you can see we've got that stupid crease. So tab into edit mode, disable the mirror modifier, and then face selection, delete all these extra faces. Delete faces. Alright, so I think that's pretty damn good. So that's all the modeling for the handle of the battle rifle. Hopefully in the next episode we'll model another piece, probably this back part. Thank you guys for watching, I hope you had fun. I'll see you next time.